Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Made Man. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Made Man, where I, your handsome host, just finished watching Episode 4, Season 6 of Mad Men, Waldorf Stories. This has nothing to do with that Muppet dude. Waldorf is a hotel, a very fancy hotel, and it seems like a lot of things happened at this hotel. I'm outside right now. It's a bit breezy, so you might hear that, but I am excited to talk about this episode. It gave some backstory to a relationship that we are familiar with, a couple relationships, one that, is friends, and one that was but is not anymore. And well, I guess a lot of things happen in the Waldorf, actually. I'm assuming that this hotel room was also in the Waldorf. I'm kind of processing it all now because I just finished it. But I guess we should just start at the beginning. And I think I remember where it begins. Dawn and Peggy are interviewing this tiny man who is a character actor that I've recognized from other things. In Mad Men, I don't know how long he's in the show, but he plays a relative or a cousin to Roger's wife, young Jane. And Roger's doing them doing the family a favor, bringing him in, but also pranking Dawn because this guy's ads aren't really all that great. In fact, some of his book has ads that he cut out because he thought they were cool. A lot of his ads had very similar, when I say very similar, the exact same line. The cure for the common breakfast. Not that one. The cure for the common, anything, blank. That's what he would use, if you were going to buy a lawnmower. It'd be the cure for the common lawn. And all these ideas were the same thing. And Dawn and Peggy weren't really impressed. And I think they were like, oh, that's great. He's like, oh, so am I going to hear from you? And he's like, oh, it's good, best of luck. And he's like, am I going to get a job? I really need a job. I'm young. I have great ideas. I'll work. I'll do anything. And Dawn was like, we'll be in touch. But he had no intention of ever doing anything. He goes into Roger's office and says, oh, that's quite a prank. Very funny. Ha, 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 ha. So when are you going to hire him? But they laughed about it and nothing came of it. Meanwhile, Roger is dictating, I guess he's writing a book about his life. He's dictating stories to his secretary about certain things. And there's a couple of flashbacks that happen in this episode. But before I get there, the big kind of overall overarching thing that's happening in this episode is that the firm is up for an award. And it's a Clio. The Clio are the advertising awards, and they're a real thing, and I assume they're still going on today. Where did it take place? At a hotel, I'm assuming at the Waldorf. I'm sure they said it, and I'm sure I missed it. And they're up for the Glow Mop thing where they have a cowboy. It's an ad that that they did, and there's like 50 ads to give away, but it's a big deal, and the awards actually, Peggy was all excited. She's like talking about it, and Dawn's downplaying it. And I think the reason Peggy was showing so much excitement is because it's on an ad campaign that she did a lot of work on. But she's getting no credit, and it seemed like it was bothering her. Meanwhile, Dawn was more focused on the fact that she's not getting the Vicks, whatever you want to call it, ad done, and she doesn't like the new guy that she has to be working with. Now, this new guy, he's kind of he's kind of a dick. He's very blustery. He thinks he thinks he's too hip. He's too hip for the room. He's very rude to Peggy. And the actor, I honestly recognize him from two things. The first thing is he's on the Connors. It was the spinoff of Roseanne after ABC gave Roseanne the boot. The Connors. He plays like Becky's boss on that show. But the other thing I recognize him from, the first thing I recognize him from is the Connors. It's always funny when you see something people probably watch that and go, hey, that's the guy from Mad Men. But me, I go, hey, that's the guy from something he did years and years later, The Connors. But I also recognize him because his face is planted on the big Netflix screen when you go to watch Mad Men. It's much older. Everyone looks older, and I hate that screen because it's kind of spoilery, and I'm looking at what these people are going to look like, and I'm seeing who's still there, and it bothers me that I'm seeing it, but I have to deal with that. But anyway, this guy is kind of a dick. He just kind of, he doesn't work well with others. He doesn't work well with Peggy, but they have to work together. Now, I was saying Roger was having while he was dictating something to his secretary for his book, he had a bit of a flashback. Him and Don shook hands when they were talking about actually, it was when Don and Roger were joking about the young guy coming into the office and then excited about the Clio Award. They shook hands, and then boom, it cuts to a flashback of them shaking hands inside a fur store because Don Draper was a fur salesman who sold a fur to Roger. Not a full mink coat, but like a shawl, I guess is what that is. And they talked a little bit to each other, and Don kind of sold him on it. And Roger said, "Oh, what's that advertising thing there? Who did that? Who does your work?" And there was an ad on the wall, and I'm pretty positive it was Betty was in the ad, right? She was the model. And he's like, "Oh, I did that myself. I do these all. The owner knows I like doing it." So he's like, he goes, "I'd like to work for you." He goes, "Well, you need 20 more of those and a bigger budget or something like that. Basically, you need more experience." Roger had no interest in talking to this fur salesman about hiring for the firm. But Don Draper is a man who will not take no for an answer. So Roger takes the fur shawl home to his what? Oh wait, I'm not going to say his wife, to Joni. That's right. And it's funny, you can always tell Don Draper is a little younger because his hair is a little higher. They make his hair a little taller. He's not quite greasing it back as much. And Roger's hair was a little taller, a little more styled, a little darker. So that made him younger. But he goes in and he's with Joan. And she loves the mink coat. And obviously this is when they were still, Joan was still his side piece, I guess, for lack of a more mature term. But when he picks up the fur, he sees, what does he see inside? An ad book with Donald Draper's card in it. He's like, I can't believe he did that. He didn't, Roger thought that was pretty cheesy. So I'm going to keep with the flashbacks because they kind of intersperse. Actually, no, I'm not. Let's go to the award show. So before the award show, they were going to be waiting for Life Cereal. Life Cereal Company was the big ad campaign that was coming in for a meeting. They had a pitch. They have an idea. And I thought it was a good one, but they're late because of traffic. They were going to be really late. Excuse me, their flight was delayed. I don't know, something like that. So they didn't have time to meet with them before the Clio Awards. So they just decided to drink instead. We have an hour to kill. Let's drink. And what's funny is they're talking about going to the Clio Awards, and Joan went with Pete. They're like, "You taking Joan?" He's like, "Yeah, we only have 4 tickets," and that was Pete, Joan, Roger, and Don, obviously. And I'm thinking to myself, Peggy is pissed and jealous because she should be there, not Joan. No offense, Joan is great for the office, but she's not doing the creative work on these things, and Peggy is. So I think that there was a little annoyance for her with that. So, but she stayed back and worked. And Dawn, they went to the award show. This is all, I'm just watching. I'm just kind of, I'm riffing. What's up? So they go to the award show and they meet up with a couple guys. They meet up with, was it Shafe, whatever the guy's name is, the guy who's kind of their rival. And they're talking shit to each other, not much, blah, 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 blah. And the awards start happening, and lo and behold, Sterling Cooper Draper Price wins. And it's really exciting. They go up, they get the award, yippee, yay, hey, hoo-ha, and, everyone's happy. But it was interesting. Before the award went off, Roger took Joan's hand under the table and held it. And then Don did the same thing. He took Joan's hand under the table and held it. They won the award. Don Draper jumped up, kissed Joan right on the lips. And I was like, wait, when did this happen? What is going on? Kissed her right on the lips, ran up there. I'm almost positive he kissed her on the lips, right? That was weird. It was never thought about again, but it was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. And gets up there, gets the award. And then one of the secretaries comes up behind them and says, I just want to let you know that Life... I wanted to say Life magazine. Nope. Life the board game. Nope. Life cereal. They ended up getting through the traffic, and they're at the office waiting right now. And these guys have been drinking. They've been smoking. They've been just relaxing and having a grand old time. They just won an award. They're on cloud 9. And now they're told their clients back at the office. And Pete's like, you know what? We can reschedule. We can put them up for the weekend. This would be fine. And Don's like, no, let's go. Let's go right now. Boom, let's do this. He was all confident. He was all cocky. He was on top of the world. Bam, he goes and wants to go pitch to Life. And they walk into the office, and Peggy's already waiting there. The young guy they call Jimmy Olsen, I don't know who he is yet. I've seen him around. He's been there for a while. He works with Peggy. She's in there. They come on in, and Don is pitching to them, and he's not doing a terrible job, but he's talking a little fast because he's drunk, and he kind of almost loses it, like he coughs a little bit. He's a little slurry, but he gets to the point and shows them, what was it? Make a bowl out of life, or whatever like that. Take life by the bowl, something like that, whatever it was, by the bowlful. And it was a good pitch. It was a good idea. The picture, everything made sense, but they were like, well, we're afraid it might be too intellectual for some of our customers. I don't know why the guy's talking like he's a Civil War gentleman, but Don's like, oh, okay, well, why don't we try this? And he starts saying, we could do this. We could say this. Life is this. Life is that. A cure for the common breakfast. And they're like, whoa, that one. We love that one. And he's like, great, awesome, great. And he said a couple others, but they were like, we love that one, great. Pete's like, awesome, this is perfect, great. And Don's like, we don't want to keep any more of your time. The Life Cereals guy said, Don's like, great, thank you for coming. Well, let's go. And they head back out because they're going to go party. And Peggy's like, what the F? She goes up to Don. She's like, what are you doing? What? He's like, whoa. What are you talking about? She didn't even get a chance to say anything. She's like, whoa. Oh, it's very windy. It's a beautiful kind of evening, but it's also blustery. She's like, she tries to talk to him and say, you just took that kid's idea. And he's like, are you done with the Vic stuff yet? She's like, no, we're working through the weekend. He's like, get a hotel room, get with that guy, and keep working at it until you got it. And she's like, whatever. And he leaves. He runs off to go party. And the secretary's like, what, you want me to get the hotel? And she's like, he was kidding. He didn't mean it. She goes, do you want me to go and check if he was kidding? So they get the hotel room. She ends up going in the hotel room with this new guy, the guy who's kind of a blustery, kind of a jerky. He's reading a Playboy, talking about being a nudist, how free it is. And she calls him on his bullshit while they're working. She's like, oh, really? Really? Why don't we do this right now? And it was weird because I guess Peggy also, I don't know if she's going to end up with this dude. It always seems like, are they going to just end up, frustrated, hating each other, and then boom, they're together. But apparently... Peggy just went for it, and she started taking off her clothes. He was like insulting her, like, well, you want to be a nudist, you're embarrassed of your body, and you should be. And she's like, boom, takes off her clothes, gets in her underwear. He's like, what? Okay, you want to do this? He gets in his underwear. She's like, all right, boom, takes off her bra. They don't show anything because it's regular television. And she's like, are you going to do something? He's like, fine. Boom, takes on his undies. He's buck naked. I don't know if she's completely buck naked, but boom, there they are. He sits down. She keeps glancing over like, apparently he goes, what? It must have been from the magazine. So he was, I'll just say he was stiff with excitement, apparently. And they just started working. It was weird. They just started working naked. And it lasted for a little while. Not 4 hours, because that's when you have to consult a physician. Bam, nailed it. But I lost my train of thought with a boner joke. She kind of, after a while, he just kind of folded, and he went and put some clothes on, And she's like, you want to get something to eat? Basically calling him, saying like, you didn't bother me. You didn't get to me. You're not going to get to me, buddy. We have work to do. So they kind of, that story gets to the side. So actually, because they show them working in the office, and he's lying on a table. He's throwing pencils in the air. But this was all before the hotel room stuff, I think. I just watched it. You'd think I'd know. But basically, I think they found a way to work together. It seems like they did, because towards the end, they show the things they're working on with the Vicks, the storyboard they got, and he's like, I drew this up like this. It went like this perfectly. And Peggy's like, yep, all I did was change it a little bit. And she held her fingers together, basically making a small penis joke about him. And he's like, why, I oughta. But it seems like they might have found a way to work together. Now, back to Dawn and Roger and Joan and Pete going back out to party with their awards. They go to this bar. It seems to be a big bar where everyone's at. I'm guessing it's at the Waldorf. And the woman, I can never remember her name. She's the mom from Stranger Things. She's the consultant. She shows up, and Dawn's kind of wants to get frisky with her. He's like, why don't we get out of here and really celebrate? She's like, no, I think you have the wrong idea. Congratulations on your award. But she called him. Oh, the wind. She did not fall for his advances, as they would say. But they're kind of hanging out. People are congratulating them, talking awards, blah, 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 blah. Drinky, 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 drinky. And Dawn, a woman comes up and says, is that Don Draper over there? Yes, it is. And is he attached? And Roger's like, to his glass? Yes, he is. Joan's like, no, he isn't. So boom, she makes a beeline right over for Donnie Draper. And lo and behold, bing, bang, boom, Don Draper ends up with this chickie in bed. They start going at it. She starts moving down on the bed. I don't want to say too much. And he just kind of like, you can see him kind of like fall asleep. And the sun, all of a sudden the moon gets a little darker. Then boom, the sun comes up and you realize, this is the next morning. He slept through the night. And he gets a phone call. And it's Betty. And she's like, where the hell are you? She goes, we have kids here. You're not even coming to see them. He's like, what are you talking about, Betty? What's going on? She goes, you're disappointing them. You're embarrassing them. He's like, I wasn't supposed to come till Sunday. She's like, it is Sunday. And she hangs up on him. And he's like, what? Sunday? He looks over to the girl in the bed. It's a different girl. It's a blonde woman. And she's like, oh, you were really nice when you ordered the fries. Or it was a waitress that he picked up at some bar. And he was like, oh, that was nice. Who were you with? Your sister. Now, that's what I'm not sure about. I don't know what she meant by that. She said, who are you with? You were with your sister getting food. Now, maybe he was with, he probably partied all night with that woman. Then the next day went out for breakfast with that woman, then parted ways. They went back and got Doris and said, let's keep going. Keep the party going, baby. I'm a winner. Winner, winner, winner. He was like, I have to get to work. I have a busy day ahead of me, even though it's Sunday. I have a busy day ahead of me. He starts pretending to take a shower. She's like, all right, goodbye. He doesn't take a shower. He gets right in his robe, goes, lies down again in bed, and lies down on the couch and kind of you see time pass again. Then boom, boom, boom. Knock on the door. And he's like, oh, who is it? It's Peggy. She's like, where the hell have you? I call you. It's busy. It just keeps ringing. What's going on? He's like, oh, my phone's not working. She's like, well, listen, we have a problem. That line you came up with, it's not yours. And he's like, what are you talking about? Take life by the bowlful? No, the cure for the common breakfast. He's like, oh, great. Well, we can fix it. We can give him a different line. No. That's the one they love. That's the one we want. We're gonna. It's that kid's line. He's like, okay. Well, okay. We're gonna have to bring him in. So the next. I don't know if it's the next scene, but we go over and then they bring Don goes into his office that next morning and the kid's sitting there waiting. He's like, I'm sorry, they told me to wait here. And he's like, listen, your idea, the cure for the common blah, blah, blah. We'll give you $50 for it. He's like, I want a job. He goes, we'll give you $100 for it. It's free. It's called freelancing. Do you know what it is? Yes, I do. It's not a job. I want a job. And we, some other things happen. We don't see. Then it cuts back. I'll get to that stuff. Cuts back to them later, and they're coming out of the office, and Peggy's looking, and he's like, bring bring, I don't know, Chucky, I'll make up his name. Bring this guy down to Joan, to start with his new position. She's like, are you kidding me? She said that right in front of the guy. He was like, thank you for this opportunity. He got the job. And later Don goes into his office before I get there. So he says he got the job, and Peggy was ridiculously like, are you effing kidding me? Don, we had another flashback. This is all, I think, because Roger's working on his book. And when they were in the bar, Roger was looking at Don, thinking about him, and that's when he got another flashback. Roger is at work, and Roger's like in the lobby of the building, waiting to go up in the elevator, and Don runs up. He's like, Mr. Sterling. He goes, do I know you? Donald Draper, the fur company. Oh, right. He goes, yeah, you're the one who gave me threw the ad box in there. Don't do that. He goes, did you look at it? I threw it away. Well, what'd you think of it? I didn't look at it. I threw it away. That's not how you do things. He's like, why do you think you can work in this business? He's like, I know I can do what you do, or I know I want to do what you do. I want to learn from you. If you let me, take you to lunch, let me buy you a drink, and I just want to ask questions of you. He's like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Snap. Boom. The next shot, they're in I'm going to guess the Waldorf, drinking early and drinking lots before lunch is even time. So he said it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Then they're leaving before the lunch rush. So they were drinking there for a while in the morning. And I guess Roger had a little bit too much to drink because they're getting along, and that's the end of that flashback. But when later on, when Don hires that kid, he goes in. I say kid, the guy's in his 20s, if not late 20s. He goes into Roger's office. He's like, we hired Joan's cousin, Joan's cousin, June's, whatever the wife's name is. I can't remember her name. We hired her cousin. It's not Joan. It's Jan. Whatever. We hired the cousin. He's like, great. Thanks. He goes, why did you hire him? He goes, God, I couldn't live without him. And basically it's because I need that slogan. And Roger goes out, just kind of looks over the everything and sees the kid standing there. And I think it reminds him of the fact that he had a kid who didn't have much, who started with his business. Because we have another flashback, and Roger's in the lobby again, and Don walks up to him again, and Roger's like, what are you doing? Why, stop following me. He's like, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm starting today. He goes, what do you mean you're starting today? You gave me a job. You told me to come in. You said come in tomorrow, kid. And Roger's like, oops, I drank too much. And that they go into the elevator, the doors close, boom, that's the end of the episode. That's not the end of my episode, because there are things that I did not talk about that I'd like to go back and talk about. Really, I think I covered just about everything with Roger and Joan and Don. I think I covered everything. I think I covered everything with Peggy. But there's an old face that we've seen a couple episodes ago, and there's some stuff with Pete that we haven't talked about yet. So Pete heard a rumor that so at the awards, Ken Cosgrove comes over, and he sorry, I just got an alert on my phone. My cousin was making fun of me on Twitter. I'm a man-child, and okay, I'm not going to get sidetracked. So at the award show, Ken Cosgrove comes up with one of his clients, and Pete's like, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, we miss you we miss Bird's Eye," and he's like, "Oh, well, you never know, things may change." And Ken's like, "Whoa, we didn't talk about that yet." And Pete's like, well, "What's going on?" Nothing's official yet, Ken said. And Pete's like, what the hell is going on? So Ken thinks that Pete thinks that Ken's firm and his firm are going to merge, and he's all pissed. There's going to be a merger, and he doesn't know anything about it. So it's been bothering him. He goes into Lane Price's office the next day, and he's like, are we merging with Gracie, or whatever the friggin' the company name is, Grace? He's pissed off. And Lane, very much is like, I wanted to tell you, but an opportunity came up with Kenneth Cosgrove and his ability to bring over many of his portfolio, his clients. And Pete's like, whoa, no way. I'm a partner here. I demand it. I put my foot down. I'm not going to be worked around like this. I need to be consulted on these things. And I'm saying no. And he's like, you did this. You picked him over me before, back at the original Sterling Cooper. And there's no way I'm going to allow this. And Lane is like, he smooth talks him. He's like, there's no, he's a good worker. He has these clients, and I really think I have a lunch schedule. I will say scheduled with him, and I would love you to attend. I think it'd be a good thing. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. But he kind of talks him down and basically makes him realize that this is a good idea. We're going to try to bring him in, to bring clients in, and he was like, I quite like you, Peter. I wish you didn't think that way, that he didn't think he liked him. So they do bring Ken in later on in the episode, and he's like, do you want to, we're going to be going off for a reservation of lunch. This is my Lane Price. We're going to go for a reservation of lunch. Would you like me to add you to the reservation? He's like, no. Before you go, put Ken in the conference room, or have Ken meet me in the conference room. He's in the conference room, and Pete basically, I wanted to say a measuring, quote unquote, measuring contest. Like, he basically lays out the fact that he has some pull around here. He has some say, and he's telling him, Ken, great to see you. I want you to know that, if you do join, I think you'd be a great part of my team, and you'd work for me. And Ken's like, what are you talking about? And Pete just basically said, like, look, if you're going to work here, you're going to work for me. You understand that? I'm paraphrasing. I'm the boss, or I'm one of the partners, and you'll be part of my team. And Ken smiled and then kind of was like, oh, you know what? He's serious, and I better take him seriously. And he just nodded. And then Pete was like, how are the wedding plans going? It just kind of changed the subject to be like, okay, we're all good now. And I think they were laughing in the conference room later. And did I cover everything? I mean, I've weaved and bobbed and jumped from the beginning to the end, to the middle, to the back. We've had nudists, we had awards, we had Don losing a whole day. We've had a guy with a terrible slogan that Life Cereal loved and Don accidentally stole. And Roger's working on a book because people want to read the book of an ad man, reminiscing about Joan and about Don. And then those are the three holding hands at the awards, the big three. No Burt Cooper in this episode. I feel like I covered everything. The Waldorf stories. I mean, yes, the Waldorf might have so many stories as a building, but also that's where Don hung out with Roger for the first time. That's where they won the awards. That's where, I guess, where Peggy and this dude, I don't know his name yet, got naked to work on an ad campaign. A lot happens at the Waldorf. Roger hooks up with Joan behind his wife's back, his ex-wife's back, his first wife's back. A lot can happen at the Waldorf. Every room tells a story. Ooh, that's bad. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening to Made Men, the most handsome podcast about mad men on the internet. I'm your host, Mike. You can find me on Twitter at MadeManPod. But I want to tell you a little secret. There's another place you can find me on Twitter, a place where I will be very active over the next month. The Twitter's name is Geek Mentality, all one word. And let me tell you something else. That is also the name of a very rare podcast that I do. It's not once a week. It's usually 30 times in 1 month, and then very sporadically throughout the year. And that podcast is also called Geek Mentality. There's a space in the podcast name, Geek Mentality. In Twitter, it's all one word, Geek Mentality. I'm just going to keep saying it, Geek Mentality. And starting June 1st, that's right, starting Saturday morning, it's Fans Not Experts Movie Month. It's my 6th year of doing it. FansNotExperts.com is the website I started many moons ago that, you may or may not have ever heard of it or gone to it. Based on the fact that you're listening to this, maybe you visited it once. If you have a chance to visit FansNotExperts.com, you're going to see every day in June, there's going to be a new podcast about a movie I've never seen. basically the tagline is 30 movies, 30 podcasts, 30 days. I've been doing the movie month for 6 years, and this is my 4th year of doing it as a podcast, where I watch a movie that I've never seen, and I talk about it, just kind of the way I'm talking about this now, just kind of put the recorder on and go. It's not usually this long, because I don't really recap the entire movie. I just talk about my feelings of it. And then I usually take a picture of myself and put it on the poster, and that goes on the website. That'll also be in the art for each episode. And also go on my Instagram, which is also Geek Mentality. So if you can follow Geek Mentality on Twitter and on Instagram, that would be so cool, man. I don't even know where that came from. But I'm just going to be seeing a bunch of movies. Some of them recent, some of them might be older, some of them might be new in the theater. I can't wait. I have a list of ones I want to see. I don't always get to that list. Sometimes new things pop up and I'm like, yeah, I'll watch that. But I'm excited to do it. It's a little project that I do for myself. That's what I do most of these things, for myself. And for you, the listener. But I started it because I wanted to catch up on movies. And then it just kind of turned into a thing where now sometimes I wait until June to see a movie. I'm like, I really want to talk about that. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold off until June and see that next year. Some movies you just can't wait to see, you know. When I was going to think of a terrible movie, but I couldn't think of one. But sometimes there are movies that you're just going to go see. I haven't waited to see a Star Wars movie, but I did see Solo last year for day one. Did I like it? Well, here's the thing. Most of the movies I watch are movies I want to see. I'm not just picking a random movie, so most of the time my comments are positive. But you have to go listen to know for sure. The website right now has every episode available. The podcast only has last year because I switched to Anchor, which is what this podcast app is on. So check it out, subscribe, tell a friend, Instagram Geek Mentality, Twitter Geek Mentality. But you know what? That's enough of talking about that. Me, you can find me on Twitter at MadeManPod. And even though there'll be 30 movies and 30 podcasts this month of June that happens in a couple days, I want to tell you that one journey will continue. A journey unlike any other, where every Friday I take one step closer to becoming or achieving the title of, say it with me, gotta breathe in, Made Man.
Fans, not experts.